Well, welcome back to another episode from Tailors with Love. Today we're talking about American Psycho from 2000, directed by Mary Harron, based on the book by Bret Easton Ellis. The costume designer for this is Isis Mussenden, whose filmography includes Dante's Peak, Daylight, and Shrek. Don't know how you do costume designs for Shrek. But anyway, Rotten Tomatoes has this with the critics at 69%, but with the audience at 85%. And today, joining me to talk about this is John Shanahan from The Cavalier. How are we doing today, John?
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
And also from Strix, I should mention the grooming range and former sponsor of the show. We'll leave all the links over in the show notes, but recommend the products, use them personally. So you might recognize John from that. Also on the line, we have Kyle Barbeau from Easy Smiles and Expensive Watches. How are we doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing well, Pete. It's always nice to be back.
Always great to have you on, pal. Well, listen, before we get into the style of the film, John, perhaps I'll start with you. Your overall thoughts on the film itself and maybe when you first watched it and saw it last.
Yeah, I came to this later, like my college, I guess. It's not that late for a violent R-rated movie, but I know it was like very well regarded. So I went in completely cold. I had no idea what it was about. And I was watching and I was like, this is nuts. I was like, I had no expectation of what was going on. I just knew it was because this was around Batman Begins, right? So it was like Christian Bale. It's like, this was, put him on the map. And I remember watching, it's like, wow, I did not understand what I was walking into. And I continue to be interested in just how resonant the film continues to be for what it is. It's like this complete cult hit, like classic love, but it's just so out there for being a movie of that type of resonance.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best films that I've seen in a long time that encapsulates an era. And the fact that it was made in like the year 2000, it had enough kind of distance away from it to take all of those nice little slices of the 80s and either parody them or just throw a light on them. Whereas I think if it was made when the film came out, and I think they even spoke about this in like a forum, the director, Christian Bale and Bret Easton Ellis, if they made it too close to when the film came out, they probably wouldn't have had enough time to kind of parody that era as well as they did. Or at least capture the spirit of it. The dancing especially. I mean, I still dance like that. Kyle, when did you last see this? Is this a favorite of yours?
It is. This is a movie that I keep going back to over and over and over again. It's so funny. The first time I saw it, I did not expect it to be as funny as it is. 'Cause it's a movie about a sadist and a murderer, or is he? But it's also a really, really good satire. And it's one of those films people go into thinking all they're going to see is blood, guts, killing, and gore. And they wind up laughing more than they anticipated.
Yeah, especially in the book, I remember reading this on the train and laughing at moments, and then being conscious of people around me knowing what I'm reading, because it is a real graphic. And
oh my, yes,
it's a nasty book, but there's so much humor in it as well that kind of juxtapose all the horrible torturing and graphicness of it that you're just worried that people are just looking at you laughing at this bloodlusting book. Anyway,
it'll put you off meatloaf for a while.
Yes, certainly, and spaghetti and sausages. John, do you think there's anything from this movie that could work style-wise in today's era?
Yeah, I think so much of it can still apply. All it really is a little bit of the cut, right? It's like take some of the padding out of the shoulders and the suits would look really strong today. I love the way that there's like just, and you see this in a lot of Wall Street movies, right? Is you get a lot of really strong collars, and I really like that look anyway. And then, I mean, the ties are a little bit wider, but not that much wider. I think it's because there's also been such a cycle of style that it's like almost coming back around. It's like we're already seeing, the skinny suits are out, skinny ties are out, and we're coming back into fuller looks anyway. And so it's almost, coming to the point where these suits actually don't look that dated.
Yeah.
This film is a lot more understated in its 1980s style. I mean, it is 80s. It is a product, or it's not a product of the 1980s because it was made in 2000, but it's a reflection on 1980s style, but it does it in a way that's much more understated.
Yeah, I mean the look that Christian Bale has throughout. So some information from IMDb that I pulled while doing some research. They had problem with the designer labels during production. So Cerruti agreed to allow Christian Bale to wear their clothes, but not when the character was killing anybody. And various other things, like other brands distance themselves from the film, like Comme des Garçons refused to allow the body to be in the bag as he's dragged to the boot, so they pulled, even though that's referenced in the book, it is a Comme des Garçons night bag. And the Rolex that is featured so heavily in the book as well is not mentioned in the film. So when he's telling Christy don't touch the watch, it's don't touch the watch and not don't touch the Rolex. So interesting though. But I mean, Cerruti was the powerhouse of the 80s. I mean, he dressed so many like important figures during those roles, like late 80s, early 90s. Robert Redford, Indecent Proposal, a couple of others that have escaped my mind. But I mean, it was almost like a good lateral move to get Cerruti in for this film. John, I didn't really have a question there, but maybe you can follow that up.
Well, I think this thing too about some of the aspects of the style is I mean, and you see this in other Wall Street movies too, is the strong brace look. And I love that look now. And I think that is something that is, I think it was stigmatized a little bit with The Office Space, with, you know, they wear the braces and really heavy, but then now this look, I saw this was used as like a Halloween costume by The Rake a couple of years ago. And it's like, that is a very strong, distinguished look, but also, you know, I think in the menswear community, people are coming back around to braces instead of belts and that sort of thing. And so even then, I think you could start to pull off some braces, maybe not as wide, but you could definitely pull off the function of them.
Yeah, I think also with the latest Bond film, the braces, exactly. The output braces, they're certainly, you know, people are more aware of them now. I think it's a bit more accepted that you can go out and have this look.
Yeah, that was one of my notes also. It looks really good on him. And it's one of those things that, yes, it's a 1980s cliche. It's a caricature of the 1980s, but it looks really good.
Yeah.
No one could bring style back like Daniel Craig.
It's weird how we look at, or maybe this is just me, how you can look at actors on screen and go, oh, that's okay to wear this now. You know, it's if you feel like you needed a nudge in that direction, or you really always liked the look, and now it's come back round in films. I don't know. It's only just occurred to me that thought, but you kind of need that acceptance to see it on the big screen before you can have that confidence to wear it yourself sometimes.
Oh, I think there are a lot of things that Daniel Craig has brought back like that and sort of popularized.
Yeah. I don't think most...
Or repopularized.
Sorry, Sperry's right now, if it weren't for... I don't think most of the Bond community would be wearing Sperry's right now if it weren't for the look in Jamaica in the new movie.
Right. Yeah. Or Tommy Bahama.
Shawl collar cardigans.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, that's a segue.
That's the other podcast. I was going to ask you, gents, this is probably a bit of a suiting 101 for me, but what do you think actually constitutes an 80s suit? When people say power suit, you know, I think it's a term that's thrown around a lot without people really knowing the characteristics of what does make a power suit. Kyle, I'll blindside you with this one first. When you hear the term power suit, where does your mind go?
I think of a few things. I think of a lower gorge, which all of his suits have, but it's not exaggeratedly low. Is exaggeratedly a word? It's not exaggerated. It's a lower gorge. The shoulders are much wider. He wears suits often with a pretty pronounced pinstripe, and I think that's what they intend the power suit look to be.
Yeah. John, will you go along with that?
Yeah, definitely like that hourglass style, like big, strong, padded shoulders with the wide, and then a taper down. I also think of, and you see this in a couple other Wall Street movies too, where you get this like double-breasted, super low cut, double-breasted. I don't really consider that like a power look as much as it is just like an indicator of, you know, this is a successful like Wall Street guy or, you know, a successful person. But yeah, that power look, and I especially associate like navy chalk stripe in that way. I think we talked about that, Pete, when we talked about De Niro and Limitless, right? He always had those like that was a more modern style, but that was still kind of like a modern power suit, but you see the same elements back in the 80s.
Yeah. No, I remember now. That's a good point. It's like the indicator of, and over here you have like for the boardroom, for programs like The Apprentice. I think it's same in the US. It's a US show, but we have Alan Sugar over here, whereas probably Donald Trump back in the day for you guys. But Alan Sugar would always have these kind of real bold chalk stripe suits, and he would be sitting in the center of the boardroom, and just by the nature of these pinstripe suits and the quality and the fabrics, you'd know that he was the head honcho at the table, right? As just opposed to having like a flat navy worsted suit. So yeah, the chalk and the pinstripes definitely reflect kind of, or want to give that impression of success and luxury, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Patrick Bateman's the kind of man that when he walks into a room, he wants people to know he's walked into the room. He wants attention on him. And the power suit, I think, does that really well.
Yeah. And your compliment is sufficient, Lewis. I love that bit. I feel so sorry for Lewis. It's like, you know, he doesn't get any break in this film. Anyway, but he doesn't get killed, so that's good. Guys, but have you read the book? I mean, you have.
This is one I actually have read. I do read, Pete. You know,
you do.
Not as much as you do, but I do read.
Well, I don't know if having the audio book is technically reading, but so I mean, it's really long. Like the book is obviously really thick, but it's about an 18-hour like audio book. So you're kind of in this for the long haul, and on the nature of the subject, it can be quite, I think, fatiguing. So like for the first 100 odd pages, you do have there's no murders. It's like almost like waiting for the shark to turn up in Jaws. And you have him almost systematically list brands, like what he's wearing, or list what he's seeing in terms of materialism, like the style of a desk or the style of someone's suit. And there's it's all surface, no feeling, which is like this. My point is that I started writing down all the names of the brands, thinking that it would be quite important to list them for the website. And by the end, I was like, oh, fuck this. I had like notes.
There's way too many.
That's absolutely 0 point. So yeah, I did lose a day out of my life.
You know what's funny is this book is a satire of people who look at clothing and look at brands as an indicator of success or value or even identity. Is that what we're doing right now? But yeah. Are we? Hopefully, I think this might be a little bit more extreme than what we do when we look at clothing and films and clothing and discuss different things that we like to wear, different styles, different brands, different cuts. Is he taking the piss out of us?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're kind of falling into the same trap, and that's probably why I shouldn't have asked him onto the podcast.
That's okay. The request wasn't indulged.
It was not indulged, and for anyone that wants to get the full reply to that, I've posted it back on the website. Oh boy, John, I'll tell you off mic what the guy said to me. Just don't bother asking him for an interview on anything like this. He's simply not interested. But yeah, it's strange. So the book, John, did you read? Have you indulged with the book?
Well, if listening to the book doesn't count, then I haven't read it. But it is. I mean, for me, it's the fact that when you look at the movie versus the book, there's like almost entire chapters on some of the murders, and then in the movie it's like, you know, it's finger snap and it like happens. It's really fast. There's just a lot. Not only is there a lot more detail around the brands and the clothing design, the style, but then all of the murders are they're way more graphic in the book than they are on the movie. And I think you had to, I mean, 2000 there were some pretty gruesome movies, but if you wanted a mainstream movie, you had to pull back a little bit. I think you could probably get away with a little bit more now. But you just have to clean it up a little bit for even for R-rated audiences.
Yeah, there's so much in the book that there's no way that you could, without making it a snuff film, that you could put it on TV. I mean, it's really gruesome. But what is interesting is how they interwove, for the film at least, the descriptions of the music and like his reviews of different artists and albums, and then interlace that with some good old-fashioned sex. And then some murders tacked on at the end. So in the book, he's just like, he's done all his murdering, he's done pretty much everything and horrible. And then he just tacks on a load of reviews of Huey Lewis and the News. which I actually think would be a really good. I don't know if he's already done it, but to do it like for an NME or like a Melody Maker series where he just gets Patrick Bateman to review music in a satirical way. I think that'd be really cool. But he does it like, I mean, these are very long, intense, and in-depth reviews that he does of something that's so completely dislocated from what is supposedly a plot or a narrative or a conceit, which the book is. But it just, I guess it's kind of just a portrayal of how unhinged he is and how irrelevant he finds everything.
And we need that as the reader, because if it was nothing but gratuitous sex and hardcore violence, nobody would read it. We do need a little bit of break, and we do need some comic relief.
Yeah, which does come quite welcomely, because after, I mean, I don't think I could ever read that book again in my life. I mean, I took 20 years, maybe in another 20 years I could, but certainly not tomorrow. Well, gents, I normally like to wrap up something with if it came up for auction. Like I did have a look online to see if there was anyone that had any props or owned any stuff. I couldn't find anything immediately, but please do get in touch if you do have anything from the film in your collection. John, if anything did come up for auction in terms of like costumes or props, what would you have your eye on?
I feel like it's a decent bet that David Stritsky has something, but he'll ping us afterwards. Yeah, I don't know. I want the axe. I mean, I don't know. There's other stuff. I think it's the axe, but I also really love the glasses that he wears. The just round rim, thin style glasses. I would take either one of those. Yeah. Very different options, but I would take either one of those.
Yeah. So I think they're credited also, aren't they, in the credits? Those Oliver People ones. Mm-hmm. Kyle, and you?
There are a couple things. I like the gray suit that he wears to lunch with Donald Kimball at Smith & Wolinski's. I really love the camel hair overcoat that he wears as he's running from the police. That's probably my favorite piece of Patrick Bateman's costuming. And I'd really like to bid on sessions with his personal trainer and his barber, because Christian Bale, he looks like $1 million in this movie.
Yeah, I like how all the women in the film, when he went and took a shower, all the cast and crew flocked around him whilst he was getting naked for that. I think I would have done the same as well. I'd probably take the ice pack that he wears. In fact, Anastasia and I have already taken on board some of the grooming habits and tips. I mean, it's a massive style film and book. I mean, there are a lot of tips that he does give. Like, for example, in the book, he talks, he's almost like the guru, the style guru. A lot of the conversations and the dialogue in the book is based around style and what they would ask GQ, and can you wear Argyle socks to work? And it's all little bits of superfluous nuggets like that. But the grooming especially is like, they lifted all of that stuff from the book into the film. So I definitely have one of the ice packs. I think that he does all his crunches, and I think that'd be quite useful for me.
Well, to stay on brand with the grooming side, there's actually a company called Bateman Grooming that is building skincare products based on the book and the movie.
You're kidding.
I don't know that.
Yeah, it's a very like satirical take on the grooming side of things. But yeah, one of the friends of my channel, he actually has it and he uses it constantly. And so yeah, you can definitely pick up the ice pack or the scrub or that sort of thing. But there's a company called I'm pretty sure it's Bateman Grooming or Bateman Skincare. And so if you want a little taste of it, you can go that way.
Where is that?
Patrick has no personality. He has no soul. So everything that is him is outside. Everything is his grooming, his clothing, his brands. That's who he is. That's all he has.
Yeah. Nice insights there. Deep.
Deep. Much deeper.
He's simply not there.
Simply not there. He's illusory.
So what do you think? Do you think the murders actually took place?
I think they absolutely 100% took place, because they absolutely took place in the book. In the film, and I think that even the director spoke about this, she said there's some kind of unfortunate ambiguity that people have been asking her, like, hey, so did he do it all? And she's like, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't want the message to be that it might be all in his head. But they kind of left a little bit to chance, I guess, and they wanted to have some kind of element of mystery to the film. But she said it wasn't my intention to have this as a character that didn't do everything that he was, writing and thinking about.
Well, whichever way you look at it, it's an awfully nihilistic take.
Yeah, it is
But the
interesting.
clothes look amazing.
He does look. Yeah, he's brilliant for this. I'm so glad that he took this part because everyone told him like, don't do this, You'll just fuck up your entire career. And like so many other actors that were established at that time, like Leonardo DiCaprio, they all kind of turned it down because it was just such a risky move. But this catapulted him, man. This was a film that just basically put him on the map. I mean, between Empire of the Sun and this, I don't know. I couldn't name you one Christian Bale film, but after this, he just went into the stratosphere, didn't he? So good on him.
It's an excellent choice. Thanks for talking about this movie with me. It's a great one.
And you, Kyle. And you, John. Thanks, gents. I guess I'll do a few quick plugs. Sorry. Thecavalier.com, where you can find some reviews, menswear, grooming at _Cavalier, and that's Instagram. Kyle, over on Easy Smiles and Expensive Watches on Instagram. You can catch him as well, as always. And thanks for taking the time out, gents. See you on the next one.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome.